4 or 5 of this illness. I don't even know what's going on. Good morning, YouTube. Good morning. Good morning. It's another rainy day here in Southern California. Anyway, we're going to see how today goes, see how long I can go here. But I'm super excited to be bringing this live to you. I can't wait to chat with my friend Amber of Grace Walk Farms. Go ahead and throw out all those emojis up. Give all the hearts for my sweet friend for joining. Oh, nope. Oh, there we go. I see it. Welcome. Hello there. I think I may have accidentally accepted somebody in here. And I'm not quite sure how to undo that at the moment. We might have to start this one over, Amber. I'm not sure how to fix that.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna start over. I'll see you in a sec.
Okay.
Hello. Hopefully you guys are finding this live stream again. We did have to start over. Sometimes people request to be on lives on accident, and sometimes my fat fingers hit the button. So sorry about that. Hopefully you guys are getting plugged back in here. So thank you so much for switching over, Amber. All right, let's try this again. Nope. Okay. I think somebody's accidentally requesting to join live here again. Back in here. All right, there we go. There's a first for everything. I was like, this person does not know that this is happening right now. And I don't know how to fix it. Amber, thank you so much for joining me today. You're such a light. And I'm so glad. I think one of the themes that I'm finding myself so grateful for is when you say yes to a dream, you just never know who you're going to meet along the way. And I'm so grateful to have met you on this journey of learning to farm in the city, dreaming of the farm, and all that good stuff. You've been such a joy to get to know, and I'm so grateful to have you on this live today. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you. I just love you, and I'm so thankful for your friendship. And I feel like I've learned a lot from your workshops this week as well. This has been a huge blessing to just kind of get to hear inspiration from other women in business and men. You had a man on too, but it's been really good.
Good. Well, as you guys know, Amber and I both are a part of this thing called the bundle. I'm calling it the resource library just because I got tired of saying bundle, but also I feel like a lot of people are like, what's a bundle? I'm like, well, it's like a resource library. And you can get a lot of our information there for really, not a lot. It's one of the best discounts you can get. So be sure to check out the link in either one of our bios to get your bundle before it ends, which is tomorrow. I think it's like 9 p.m. PST. So definitely go check that out. But I really am so glad that you're here. And I was telling viewers in the last live at the beginning, I really wouldn't have been doing this workshop week at all if I had not talked to you. I'm going to turn this down a little bit. If I had not talked to you, and something I've really grown to appreciate about you is you have such a mind for marketing, and I don't even know if you know it. I don't know if it's something you've cultivated on purpose. But you have such this marketing mind, and it works so differently from how my marketing mind works. And I just so appreciate your viewpoint on things. And when you were like, well, yeah, I've decided to turn it into this whole thing, I'm like, that sounds amazing. Yeah, I should do that too. And it's just been such a rich time. So thank you so much for, sharing that idea. And I'm so glad that it's been beneficial to you too. And today I would love to, first off, for anybody who doesn't know you, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, where you're from, all that stuff.
Okay. So my name is Amber, and I'm known as Grace Walk Farm here on the gram. Grace Walk Farm is our family homestead. We're in the foothills of North Carolina, and I am a homeschool mom. I'm a pastor's wife. I'm a writer and a gardener. Really, the gardener should have been higher on the list because I'm pretty garden obsessed. But I teach gardening. That's really the heart of what I do. And in teaching gardening, I also get to share my faith because if you've ever been in a garden, there is no way that you can watch the process that naturally unfolds and not see, the fingerprints of God all over it. And so I share a little bit of both here. It's sort of a mix. And I love it. I've made so many friends here online and just found like this rich community of people that I would have never been able to connect with otherwise. So it's been a blessing for me.
So cool. I actually learned something about you. I didn't realize that your husband was a pastor. I feel like I should have known that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, he's a church planter actually. So
you know what? You told me that.
Yeah, we've moved around and planted several churches, but the one we're at now, we've been here for 3 years now, and we have no plans of going anywhere. It's we put down roots, and we love.
That's such an amazing feeling. I was thinking about that today as we've been ill, and you've been helping me behind the scenes. You're like, "Have you tried garlic? Have you tried this?" And yeah, I mean, when you are able to plant roots in a community that it feels like we're meant to be here. You're meant to be with us. Like that's such a beautiful thing. And my husband and I moved to San Diego a couple years ago, and we still just really haven't found that for ourselves through a
Yeah,
church. And I was like calling my mom today. She lives an hour away. I'm like, well, what do you do when you're both sick and you have to take care of the kids and like you feel like you're gonna fall over? She's like, I don't know. She's like, do you need to like hire a nanny or something? And I'm like, I don't know. She would come down if she could, but it got me thinking of just the value of community and how when we were plugged into a life group, like you could just text somebody and be like, "Hey, we're under the weather, like pray for us," and they'd probably be, over with a meal or something. And I think community is so valuable, and I'm so glad that you guys have that where you are. And that must be different for you guys as people who intentionally plant, and now you're like, "Oh, we have roots." But anyway, I wanted to ask you something. So you and your husband have such a unique story. I remember one of the first posts I ever saw from you was like, "Did you know that we only garden because it was like in our premarital counseling to find a hobby together?" And
yes.
I would love to know like more about that journey, more about kind of like that challenge that your premarital counselor gave you, and like how you guys found gardening. And then I'll ask you, other questions about business and stuff. But I just wanted to know more about that. I think that's really powerful to find a hobby together, and I think it's really cool you guys found gardening.
Yes. So Josh and I, we were high school sweethearts. So we've practically grown up together. Our grandmothers were best friends. Our dads were in Boy Scouts together when they were kids. And then, weirdly enough, we were born one day apart in the same hospital, delivered by the same doctor. So we were in the nursery at the hospital together. So, like, it's funny to look back. Like, there's no denying that the two of us were supposed to wind up together. It's just been all the way through.
Yeah.
But anyway, when we dated a little bit in high school and then broke up, and we got back together a little later, college age. And I remember pretty quickly, like I knew this is it. Like this is who I'm supposed to marry. By then, I had been in a bad relationship. I knew what that looked like. Didn't want to go back to that.
Yeah.
And Josh has always treated me like a queen. I mean, and he truly is my best friend. So it made sense. And we fell in love. And so we were going to get married, and we went to premarital counseling because it was a requirement of the church that we were getting married in. And honestly, we thought it was silly. We were like, this is such a waste of time. We don't need this. But what we learned was we had nothing in common. When we started to sit down and talk, we liked totally different music. We liked completely different movies. We chose to spend free time in different ways. We opted for different ways to celebrate holidays. When it came right down to it, the only thing we had in common was we both loved the Lord and we loved each other. So the counselor was like, you guys have work to do. If you are going to build a long-lasting marriage, you're going to have to find some common ground to meet on so that even when there's friction in your relationship, you can find a way back to each other. And, over the years, we tried different things. We, like ministry, we're together a lot. And originally, that's kind of what we thought it would be. It would be doing ministry together. But ministry is is beautiful and fulfilling, but it's not marriage building. Okay, it's a service. And so I don't know. At some point along the way, we sort of started to piddle around with gardening and experiment with it a little bit, and we both enjoyed it. He had grown up with a garden, I had not. So he had a little more experience with it, and I pretty much was just like, do what you want to do. This is, whatever. But eventually I fell in love with it, and we sort of started to spend time there. And it wasn't like we planned for it, but it became our common ground. And so now, like right before this live, we were out here just shoveling wood chips together and chatting. And, it's our place where we're busy parents. He's a busy pastor. But we can sneak out to the garden. If one of us is in the garden, the other one will find a way to sneak out and join them. And we kind of have a few minutes of like conversation in a long time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that story so much. Thank you for telling us that. I love too that, he actually kind of initiated it or he had more of the knowledge. I feel like we hear so many stories like women, getting in touch with the feminine urge to garden, like that meme has been going around and then they like suck their husbands into it. But it's almost the reverse with you guys.
Yeah, for sure. I was a total inside girl. Like I didn't even want to live in the country. 18-year-old me would have been appalled at what I've done with my life. Like, This is nothing at all about what I wanted, but God's plans are much better than what we ever would ask for or imagine. And now I look at it and, oh my gosh, if I lived in a big city, I would be miserable.
So tell us more about that. That's so interesting. So you envisioned yourself as like a city girl, not living in the country at all. You had a different vision for your life. There has been this theme through all these conversations this week of like, we hit these pivot points and they end up becoming stepping stones in our life. And I mean, I'd love to know, like, how did you kind of pivot into this different lifestyle? And tell us a little bit more about what it looked like to listen to that kind of still small voice that sounds like it was guiding you the whole way.
Yeah, I think the pivot for me probably happened at one of the lowest points in my, I don't know if you would say my spiritual life, but in my emotional health, maybe. So we had moved back in like.
Uh-oh, is that me? Are you guys still with me? All right, speaking of being in the country, I think we may have a Wi-Fi issue, so just hang tight and we will get her back on here. But if you guys have any questions for Amber, I'm gonna go ahead and text her really fast right now. Are you there?
I broke up. Okay.
Are we together now? Because I haven't heard you since you started talking.
Oh no. Okay. I think we lost the connection.
Yeah, I think so. Sorry about that.
I can hear you now.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's try again. So you found yourself wanting to be in the city, but then the still small voice kind of led you down a different path.
Yeah, it was. So I kind of went kicking and screaming, honestly, because we had moved to the coast, and I am a beach girl. I love the beach. That's where I want to be. I love to fish. Like, you think I'm obsessed with gardening? You should see me with a fishing pole. Like, I love it. And so I loved living at the beach. And when God called us there to plant a church, I mean, I was like, this is our place. This is where we're staying. And 2 years later, things changed. Josh went into heart failure, my husband. It turned out he had been born with this really rare heart condition called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. And long story short, his heart was too big. And so at that point, we had two very small children, and Josh needed a life-saving surgery. We had to take him to Cleveland Clinic in Ohio because nobody here in North Carolina even did it at that time. And so long story short, surgery went well. Josh was fine, but we needed help after that because he wasn't able to work. And he was working in ministry, but church planting doesn't really pay anything. Most church planters also work a second job. And his health was struggling. And then as a result of that, his mental health started to struggle. And then all of it felt like it landed on my shoulders. And I thought, I can't do this long term. I need support. And we had a lot of friends, but we didn't have our families. And so around that time, my grandmother had gotten sick, and I was so close with her. And so that was kind of the final straw, and we moved back home to our hometown. And we actually moved into my grandmother's house. We bought her house with the intention to bring her home, but she passed away before we could do that. So I had just left the place I never wanted to leave. My husband, who had always been like the big, strong hero, has now become sick, and I'm fearful of our future. And then my grandmother passed away. Like, I was at a low. And now I'm in my hometown where I swore the day I turn 18, I'm leaving this place. I'm never coming back, you know. And I had to eat some crow on that. You know, I had to realize I'd been wrong. Like, family is way more important than I thought it was. And so through all of that, it was in that time period that I realized I wanted to live in the country, because my grandmother's house we bought, it was in a neighborhood, but it was surrounded by trees. And so it felt kind of off to itself. And I so missed like being able to walk to the beach and have my quiet time. But I found I could go sit on the back porch swing, and I felt that same connection, you know, being outside and connecting with God. And so my love of the country was born, and it kind of grew. I started a garden, and it flopped miserably, but it was my garden that year. It wasn't Josh's garden, it was mine. And, you know, I killed it completely. I think we might have harvested 2 cucumbers the whole year.
I relate to that so much.
Yeah, but it kind of lit the fire in my heart. And a few years after that, we sort of positioned ourselves. We renovated that old house, and we sold it. And then we were able to use that to buy this little piece of land we're on now, and kind of rolled it into that to try to, our overall goal was, number one, to reduce our debt, but also just to get us in a place where we didn't need Josh to work full time. Because he was working full-time again by the time we moved here, but it was absolutely killing him. His health was tanking. So moving here, we went all in. You know, we planted the full big garden. We got the chickens, we got the rabbits, and we got serious about health and wellness. We found a naturopath near us to guide us, and we did parasite detoxes. We did elimination diets, and we got well, like mentally, physically, spiritually. We found so much healing. And so now we're just still living it out and learning and growing day by day. But that's kind of how we got here, long story short.
Wow. Gosh, I love how like these moments that seem like such valleys, and it seems like there's just going to be no redemption. It seems like if we just kind of say yes to the next step, which is again another theme for us this week, just say yes to the next step. It's like it can actually have so much redemption. And not to say that it's not hard and doesn't suck in the middle of it. I mean, how horrible to go through all of that. But now where you guys are is in a totally different place, and you can take the hands of other people, and you do it all the time. And I feel like that's why people are so drawn to you, is like, we know what it's like to be suffering, but you can plan to garden and we'll help you do that. And that's so beautiful. I love that. And you guys have really turned your homestead into a business. I mean, I know one of the things I learned from you, one of the first resources I ever got from you was the 100 ways to make money from your homestead, I think is what it's called. Did I say that right?
Yeah, making money on a homestead.
Making money on a homestead. Yeah, wow. And so you guys have really transformed. And I feel like this is the dream of so many people, is to have land and then be able to sell produce, sell chicken eggs. And it's a very like tangible, concrete, like physical goods business from our homestead to your hands. Like you can buy our stuff. And so you guys have turned it into a way to basically offer your husband some refuge.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. And me too. So by the time we moved here, we were both working full-time jobs at that point. I was working as a counselor at a rehab for women in addiction.
Of course you were. No wonder we're BFFLs. My God, you guys last night should have seen our memes going back and forth. We're basically just sisters from other misters on the opposite coasts.
Yes, so
I've been there too. That's so funny. I didn't know you had a background in counseling. Okay, sorry. So you're counseling.
But I mean, like I think your biggest pain point, like wherever that pivot is for you, whatever your biggest hurt is, kind of becomes your biggest ministry. And so, like, for me, my biggest pain point was almost a sense of like loneliness when we moved here, and I was not with my community and not at the place I wanted to be, and felt like a little bit forgotten by God. I think that's honest and real. We feel that way sometimes. But I just didn't see the big picture yet. He was doing something that I couldn't even have imagined because I didn't know I wanted that. But
Yeah.
looking back, I wouldn't have wanted to miss it. And, and we've had to build an income to support it. You can't, I think a lot of times people think I'm just going to plant a garden and I'm going to sell all my vegetables and we're good. Don't quit your job yet. Like,
Yeah.
you got some steps to take. It's a gradual process. It took us probably from the time we moved here, I want to say it was 18 months before Josh was able to leave his job. I left mine when we moved here so that I could really full time work on the gardens and stuff. But by a year and a half in, he was also able to come home. And so we're here together now. And
Wow. Okay,
yeah.
I saw you post about that, and then I was like, "Is that, like, for real, for real? Like, you guys are really there together." Okay, wow, that is so cool. So many little nuggets that I just wanna highlight really fast for people. I mean, I think you said something really profound when you said your greatest pain point can be your greatest point of service. And something we've talked a lot about this week is, like, how do you basically start your own business? And the thing I encourage people with is like, well, look over your shoulder and look at where you've been. How did you make it through? And how can you help somebody else do that? If you can serve, you can sell, you can bring people through that same transformation. Not that it always has to be sales, it can be through mentorship or anything really, but through the lens of business, it's like, all right, what transformation can you offer people? And I love that perspective of like our greatest pain point could actually be our greatest point of service. I think that's such wisdom. And I think you kind of said something else that's really important too, which is this idea of almost, I don't know if the right word is scaling, but like this idea of this closed loop system doesn't really exist until you've added enough inputs, just like with the garden. Like you have to
Yeah.
have stuff to start the garden, and you might have to get that, either you buy it or you get it from somebody else, but then eventually it's self-sustaining. And that's the same thing with business. Is like, okay, you need something to get started, you need an idea, you might need a little bit of capital, but you're like, don't quit your job because you're going to need to like support this lifestyle until it's self-sustaining. And so I don't know what the right word is. It's not scaling, but anyway, you guys figured it out. You hit your stride with making money. What did that pivot into, like, business from the homestead look like for you guys? What was your vision then? What is it now? Like, how did that all pan out? Tell us about that.
So at first, I would say it looked a little frantic, if we're being honest, because we were like, we've got to figure this out. And we learned some hard lessons quickly. Like, we were talking on a live yesterday about ways to make money, and I said, literally, do not put all your eggs in one basket. You can't have just one income stream. Like, selling eggs is great, but your hens will not lay 12 months a year.
Yeah.
What are you going to do in the off season? Same thing with vegetables. What are you going to do in the winter to pay the bills? And so you got to be strategic, and it's almost like you're not building one business, but you're building like 12 to 14 little mini streams. And then if at any point you drop one, you can pick another one up, and you kind of just keep a few going all the time. And that's really how we did it. And then online business has been a big part of it for us too. And that kind of was an accident, honestly. We started, well, I turned my personal Instagram page into like a page to document our homestead process. And I never like foresaw it becoming a thing that people would want to see or learn from. But I learned through teaching. And so as I would like gobble up a new skill in the garden, it brought me so much joy to come make a quick video and share it. It was like telling my friends, my best friends, all my secrets. And it became this beautiful community. And then through that, I love writing, and I've been able to like tap into that and start writing some ebooks and courses, and just download the information I'm learning here onto paper so I can share it with with all these people I love. And for me, I think now the thing is we're a good mix of online income versus homestead income. But long term, I do want to move sort of more towards homestead income, just in case, from a preparedness standpoint. I don't want to be completely dependent on the internet to make money. I think that's wise.
Yeah.
So we're setting up kind of systems beyond that, so we have a backup plan.
Yeah. Guys, this is a millionaire mindset, okay? I don't know if you know this, but most millionaires have at least 7 or 8 streams of income. And so whether it's on your homestead or online or a mix of both, I think that is such wisdom and is going to yield so much fruit. And I know that there's so much value too in just focusing on the one thing and doing the one thing really well. But then you can apply that, like you said, like get that one thing going and then kind of apply that to these other revenue streams, and learn to basically prop them up so that it's not like so dependent on you all the time.
Yeah.
You got to develop good systems. And anyway, that's why billion-dollar companies buy million-dollar companies, is good systems. So if you can be a good systems person and set up your systems well, and it sounds like you've done that through different things that you sell from your homestead, through the homestead. Oh, sorry, I realized we're missing comments here. Oh, so grateful for this series. Thank you so much. The biggest challenge is finding what endeavors will bring in money where you live. Yeah, that is an interesting point. I think too, like finding what resonates with you. And I hear that in your story of like, I didn't even know that I was like gonna make money online, just sharing my passion. And we've talked with so many other creators this week, and it's like there are so many ways, and sometimes it takes starting and stopping or trying it on for size and realizing, oh, that doesn't really resonate with me. I wonder if you've had any experiences like that where like you kind of tried something but it ended up not really being your thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's been a few. I've always been a little bit entrepreneurial. Like even when my kids were babies, I did freelance writing from home, and so like I've always dabbled in online income a little bit. But I've tried some things that didn't work. Facebook advertising disasters. Yeah, that wasn't good. I'm trying to think. I mean, there's been a few. There used to be one of the first things I tried that I was convinced I was going to get rich doing this, and it's so silly. It was like right when a lot of the internet stuff was starting, social media was starting, and there was this app, and I don't even remember now what it was called, but it was sort of like Siri, and you would text like these 3 numbers, and you could ask a question, and it would send you the answer. Well, I was one of the magic genies that was typing those answers, and so like I would look it up and type it, and it would pay me like 1 cent per answer. But I was like, oh, I can do this while the babies sleep. This is going to add up. I made like $3.42 for 40 hours of work. It was horrible.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm going to make my asthma flare up over here. Oh my gosh. So funny. Isn't that so funny? We convince ourselves sometimes of these things. We get so excited as entrepreneurs. Guys, if you're an entrepreneur, aspiring business owner, like know that you're in good company, because I've definitely been there too, where I'm like, this is it. No, it's not.
Missed that one.
Oh my gosh, I appreciate the candidness there, and I hope that's an encouragement to anybody else who's maybe started and stopped something. And tell us a little bit about how you keep going, because I think a lot of people struggle with feeling discouraged after something like that happens. And so, what do you kind of tell yourself? How do you pick yourself back up and keep going and find the next thing?
I think number one, when it all goes bad, you need to kind of walk away. Like, you need to take a break. Because typically what I find is when things get to that point.
Sorry, cat butt. Cat butt in the shot. That's Oliver.
But by the time things like totally flop, usually you're in a discouraged place. And you're not going to really be fruitful if you're brainstorming and looking at things. Then you need to take a break. And there really is something to like tuning your mind in almost to the right frequency. because you can get in like this stuck place of negativity, and it's really easy to do. I battle that. I'm a worrier by nature. I tend to be anxious, and so I will obsess over something until I smother it to death. And that's not a good thing for a business. You want to be clear, and you want to be straight, and you want to be concise, where, you know, put it all out there in a very simple way where people can see what you got. And when you're coming from a negative place, what you tend to do is you just, you know, spout blah, 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 and about 2% of it was useful. So to be quiet is the biggest thing I do when I get in a bad space, and give myself time, and take a step back, and then do whatever it is that sparks your creativity. So, you know, there are those activities that can kind of like wake up your brain and just kind of, for me, it's when my hands are busy. I'll either be like digging in the soil, planting seeds, or pulling weeds, or it could be I'm in the kitchen and I'm baking, but it's always when my hands are busy and it's quiet. That is when I can kind of, like, I'll get a spark of creativity or an idea. And you just have to listen and keep a notebook with you. Write it down the minute you have that idea, because you might forget it by tonight or tomorrow. So write them down.
That is so good, you guys. Please, I hope your notepads are out and write that down. I've seen that to be so true in my life. I know other creators have talked about that this week too. Is it's okay to slow down. Like, I wish that we would let go of this hustle mentality. Like, slow down. If something's not working out, like, walk away, take a break, take some you time, do something that brings you joy, creativity, and keep a notepad with you. So many golden nuggets in there. Wow, that's so good. I'm so glad you said that. And I look back over the last year of really just building this business and dreaming of bringing my husband home as well and doing the full-time farm thing. There have been so many times where, you know, just to be candid with you guys, where it's like, I just kept going and I just kept going and I just kept going. And I'm like, you know, we have these next goals and like, this needs to be done before that thing happens. And it's so easy to just get sucked up into the hustle culture. But I love what you said about tuning into the right frequency. And Erica Nolan and I had a really interesting conversation. I think it was day one of workshop week. And I mean, we went all the way into like quantum spirituality. Like, we went like off the deep end. Did you see that? Oh, okay.
No, but that stuff is fascinating. Like,
It is.
just in the last year, I've started to read about some, and it's amazing.
It's so interesting to me. And, you know, my dad and I would have these conversations when I was really little about how we're all just energy. And I understood what he was saying, even though I was only like 5 or 6. And now with a more adult perspective and more understanding of different spiritualities, I personally, believe that, you know, Jesus was the son of God. But it's so interesting to me that we really are all just energy. And it's like, if God is omnipotent and omnipresent and we are going to be with him in heaven and there's no time there, that kind of already means that in some sense, like, the kingdom is not that far away. And like, that version of ourself that's with God already is not that far away. And I try and think about that in those moments where it's like, I feel off right now. I feel like the frequency is off. Like, you know, the enemy is whatever, you know, we're in a spiritual battle every day. And I try and think about that, that there's some version of me that's already with God. So it's like, how do I like tune into that frequency, whatever that frequency is? And that's what I kind of try and set my mind on. But I'm so glad that you said that, because I do think it's important, whether you call that meditation or devotion time or whatever you want to call it. I think it's so important and so valuable.
There's a hymn, and I'm sitting here trying to remember which one it is, because there's one line of it that comes to me all the time. It says, "Tune my wandering heart to thee. Prone to wonder, Lord, I feel it." Do you know what I'm talking about?
That's my favorite hymn.
Really?
Yes. Find my wandering heart to thee. Yes.
Yes. On that sound of every blessing.
Yes.
Yes, I love it. But I think about that, like, it's like a radio. You remember the old radios, and like, if you weren't exactly tuned, it would get staticky.
Yeah.
It's like that when you walk with Jesus, whether we're talking life or business. Like, you're gonna get sidetracked and you're gonna get like lost. It's a light and dark world, and it's easy to step out of the light if you're not careful. And so you gotta tune back in, you know. You need a
So
tune
good.
up.
Yeah, you need to tune up, tune in. So good. I love that. Yeah, it's one of my, I would say probably top 5 favorite hymns. And it's just such a good reminder of like stay connected, stay with it. And it's okay if you get off the dial a little bit, but just tune it back in, have that awareness and tune back in. Um, okay, so tell us a little bit about your heart for Grace Walk Farm and like the different ways that you connect with your community and serve your community, and I guess how you kind of translate this idea between how do I say it? I'm thinking of a DM that I got. I'll just put it out there. I'm thinking of a DM that I got this morning, which is I realized, and this is so hard because I don't even want to say this, but I realized that I can't sell. And so even that first line was just was so sad for me to read because I've known this friend for a long time and they really struggle with mindset. And I just encourage them like, you got to up level your mindset. And he's like, ever since you said that, I really have been thinking about this. And I realized that I can't sell because I feel icky being a salesperson. And I've heard that argument so many times. And I used to feel like that myself until I realized if the grocery store wasn't selling me groceries, I wouldn't be able to buy food. If the dentist wasn't selling dental services, I wouldn't be able to get my teeth cleaned or fixed or whatever. And so I do see that as a bit of a broken mindset, but I'm wondering, how do you like, I'm struggling with my words. Sorry, I'm kind of under the weather, as you know. But how do you, how do you kind of bridge that gap between like, this is the stuff that I know, and this is how I put it into a service for other people. Like, how do you? What does that look like for you? I know you have different ways. You said that you do writing, and I guess it's a two-part question. Is like, how do you conceptualize that and transform your knowledge into things that you serve with? But then,
Yeah.
were there any mindset challenges with that you had to kind of overcome?
Yeah, I would say I felt the exact same way as that DM you got. Like, I can't sell and I don't want to sell. Like, I would feel I don't want to be one of those annoying people that, like, all they talk about is buy this, buy that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be that girl. And I struggled with it. But the thing that immediately popped in my mind when you said that was she's selling the wrong thing.
Mm.
Because when you're selling a product or a service that you're passionate about and like you got to see the value in it before you can show other people the value in it. And if you feel guilty for selling it, that tells me you don't think it's worth the value you're selling it for. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
you might want to like kind of redirect, like, what are you trying to offer people? Because we've talked about this, but like my number one thing is I write this on the top of my planter or my planner every day. Like, so I'll see it through this whole bundle week. It's serve over sell. I'm not here to sell you my new course. I'm not here to sell you a bundle of books. I'm here to serve you with information that, honest to goodness, would have changed my whole reality if I had had it when I first started this homestead thing. Like, not to mention all the money it would have saved me on books and courses that I went and bought and ordered on Amazon and at Barnes and Noble. And, so you've got to see the value. And if it's not enough value in your eyes, you need to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, what should I offer instead? I don't know if that helps.
No, that's perfect.
I
Yeah, totally. I think there's a lot of different takes on that, but I was just curious what yours was. And I think, yeah, like you're just not selling the right thing. And there's probably some mindset stuff too for that person that it's like, they feel guilty or whatever. But yeah, I think the minute that you find the right thing and it's a no-brainer and it's like, oh, well, of course I would want my friend to know about this because I love it. And so you share it with them. I think that's really practical wisdom. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I wish I could keep going, but my ears, my nose, my everything. We'll just have to hopefully do this again another time. But thank you, everybody who joined us today. And please do go get your bundles. Oh, yeah.
I do have a free gift that I just want to give to your community too. So
okay.
If any of you do grab our bundle that we're offering this week, because we do believe it's so powerful, you can get it through Natalie's link or my link. I'll honor either one. But if you will DM me your email address, I will send you my free book about making money on a homestead.
Oh, so
you'll
good.
have a copy of that too. So if you're trying to build a business from a homestead, that will give you 100 ideas to get you started at least.
Oh, so good. Thank you so much. What a generous offer. Well, thank you so much. And I guess we should end on like, where can people find you? I mean, obviously Instagram, but like, where else do you hang out? What else do you do? And how can my people find you?
We have a fairly new YouTube channel that we're just starting. So you can search Grace Walk Farm and we'll pop right up. And we also have a website, gracewalkfarm.org. We have some blog posts and videos there. And I'm most excited of all the things we've got going on online. I'm most excited about that blog because we are going to really use that this summer to share recipes and canning information and really document in more detail. So it's going to be a fun summer.
So good. So good. Well, thank you so much for just, yeah, your heart, your practical wisdom, your time. So fun to talk with you live. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. I think I'll see you tomorrow on your live, I think.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'll see you then, friend. Thanks everybody
All
who
right,
tuned in.
feel
We'll
better.
talk to you soon. Bye.